Looking for these better days.
It is Tuesday, May 19th. I'm Scott Seidenberg. Here's what you need to know to make today a better day. Game 7 on the ice delivered with an overtime thriller, and one overtime wasn't enough to decide Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. That's right, it is an overtime edition of this episode of Better Day presented by FanDuel. We'll get Colby Marchio joining us for some baseball conversation, a full slate of games coming up tonight. Colby will have a preview on that in a few minutes, but we start with the NBA Western Conference Finals, where it took 2 overtimes for the San Antonio Spurs to steal Game 1 from the Oklahoma City Thunder, 122 to 115. OKC closed as 7.5-point favorites as the line was pushed up from 6.5 to 7.5, and it looked like it was going to be the Spurs game throughout until a huge comeback in the fourth quarter, down double digits. The Thunder forced overtime, and then they looked like they were going to have the win in overtime before Wemby hit a key three, one of many clutch shots that Wembanyama hit throughout the night. And then Wemby was just the best player on the floor. Like, there's just no argument about that throughout the entire game, and especially into the second overtime, he was the best player on the floor. When it was all said and done, Wemby finished with 41 points, 24 rebounds, and 3 blocks, spoiling the night that SGA received his MVP award, his second consecutive MVP award. And Wemby put the Thunder on notice, put the league on notice, and we asked the question all season long, every time the Thunder and the Spurs played, whether it was the regular season games, whether it was the NBA Cup game, and we said, do the Thunder have a Spurs problem? And the answer was clearly yes. The Spurs had the Thunder's number during the regular season, and they had the Thunder's number last night. You cannot come away from that performance and be more impressed with Wembanyama and be more scared if you are a team in the Western Conference, because the Thunder aren't going anywhere. The Thunder, this year, obviously, next year is going to be the same. Year after that, the Thunder are going to be a team to be reckoned with for the next couple of years. The Spurs have just arrived. Like, they might have been a year too early this year, but here they are with a very good chance to go to the NBA Finals and a very good chance to win the NBA Finals, now with the 1-game-to-none lead over the Thunder. This is a scary moment for Western Conference teams, and if you are a star player in the Western Conference and you are you're coming up on your free agency, you better start thinking about going to the East, because the road to the NBA Finals for the next several years will go through the Oklahoma City Thunder and the San Antonio Spurs. Last night, again, Victor Wembanyama was the best player on the floor. Shai did not have a great game. Some people might say the rust was there, although I went over the trends on yesterday's show. I've talked about it. I tweeted it out. Actually, in the NBA playoffs, history has shown us that rest is better than rust. Shai finished with 24 points on 7 of 23 shooting. He was 2 of 7 from three-point range, 8 of 9 from the free throw line. He did have 12 assists in the game, but a negative 15 on the floor. And we talked about Wembanyama and his 41-point performance. He was assisted by Stephon Castle, who had 17 points. Dylan Harper had 24 points, 11 rebounds for Dylan Harper as well. Castle had 11 assists. And on the defensive side of things, so Wemby did his thing with the blocks, but on the defensive side, it was Carter Bryant and Stephon Castle who locked down Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for most of the night. Here's a great stat. For the first 3 quarters, OKC scored 17 points on the 18 plays where SGA was doubled. And you have to wonder, if they continue to employ that style of defense, doubling SGA, will the Thunder continue to miss a bunch of open threes? Now, we look at the box score from last night. Sure, Alex Caruso had a big night with, 8 3-pointers that he made, but he was 8 of 14. They were 17 of 45 overall, which is not terrible, 45%. But you think about, if a couple of those fell that they missed when SGA had kicked out, it could have been a different story last night. Now, looking at the Game 2 line coming up for tomorrow night, San Antonio with the 1-game-to-none lead, OKC a 6.5-point favorite. So it's the exact same line that it was here for game number one. Now, it did close at 7.5, but it was 6.5 for quite a while before it closed at 7.5. And I'm wondering if the same thing happens here in game number two. I've already placed a bet for game number two, and you guys, if you've been listening to this podcast and following me long enough, you already know what that bet is. It's the Oklahoma City Thunder to win the first quarter. Last night, we got Thunder money line at minus 152 up on FanDuel. Shop around, see where the line is at now, where it is whenever you're listening and whenever you want to place the bet. But it's just such a strong trend backing the teams that lose to come back here and win the first quarter, especially when these teams are favored in the next game. So the numbers so far here in these playoffs, 17-6 straight up, 16-6-1 against the spread when you lose the game and you are favored in the next game. And I joked around earlier about renaming myself, giving myself a nickname, Scotty Q, Scotty Quarter, Scotty First Quarter, whatever you want to call it. Because if you track our progress up on betterday.com, betting the first quarters here in the NBA playoffs, we are 8-2. Betting these first quarters. So it has been a profitable bet for us. We will continue to bet these first quarters, and I've already placed a bet on the Thunder in the first quarter for game number two. The series price up on FanDuel right now with the Thunder losing game number one, OKC minus 115 to win the series, San Antonio minus 105. And Victor Wembanyama and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander both even money to be the Western Conference Finals MVP. Tonight, the Eastern Conference Finals gets underway with Game 1 between the New York Knicks and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Knicks up on FanDuel, 7.5-point favorites tonight with a total of 217.5. And we already gave out the bet on Karl-Anthony Towns to be the Eastern Conference Finals MVP, back up to 10-1 odds right now up on FanDuel. And I do believe that this is the best bet of this series. We're going to continue to ride the Karl-Anthony Towns Towns assist props, even though we're getting taxed now. It has become, it's not a secret anymore. Although up on FanDuel right now, you can get Karl-Anthony Towns over 4.5 assists at minus 122. And that is a bet that we are making every single game here in this series, because as the Knicks have made the adjustment to work their offense through Karl-Anthony Towns here in these playoffs, the fact that this is 4.5 and not 5.5 up on FanDuel is a bet that we just have to make for this game here tonight. And we're hoping that Towns continues to rack up the assist props and goes towards him winning the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. We talked about the series price before, but the Knicks minus 265 favorites right now. Cavs plus 215 if you believe in them on the other side. All right, let's talk Stanley Cup playoffs, where last night in overtime, it was the Montreal Canadiens defeating the Buffalo Sabres 3-2. And for much deliberation that we had on the podcast yesterday about just playing the historic trend of Game 7s to go under or buying into how much these teams have scored throughout this series, well, the history was on our side, and how do you not play an under in a Game 7? It just always goes under, and last night went under 3-2. The final score. It was Alex Newhook with the game winner in overtime. Montreal had a 2-0 lead in the first period. The Sabres scored one in the second. Rasmus Dahlin tied the game with about 6 minutes to go in the third. And then, as I mentioned, Alex Newhook got the game winner in overtime. So the Montreal Canadiens advance to the Eastern Conference Finals, where the Carolina Hurricanes await. And that's going to be a tall order, because we know how strong Carolina is. But Carolina has been sitting around for a while as they wait for this series to begin. Hurricanes up on FanDuel right now are minus 265 to win this series. For game number one, which comes your way on Thursday, Carolina is a minus 194 favorite. The total is 5.5, minus 140 to the over. And we've talked about this before. Teams coming off of a Game 7 and then playing game number one, specifically on the road, the games are flying over the total because it makes sense. There's a letdown of your mindset, letdown of the intensity, letdown of the defensive presence. You go from the game 7 of it's do or die to now game 1 of a next series where you can loosen up a little bit defensively. So we played the over in game 1 between Montreal and Buffalo, and that came through because Montreal was coming off the game 7 against the Lightning, and that was a 4-2 loss by the Montreal Canadiens. And I'm going to go back to the well with the over in this game. However, there's another strong trend. I'll give you those numbers in just a moment, but there's another strong trend of unders with teams that are coming off of significant rest, specifically 10 or more days of rest. And that's what Carolina is coming off of. Carolina is coming off of 11 days rest in this game number 1. When that happens in the history of the database, this goes back as far as 2019, the teams that are coming off those 10 days or more of rest, 18-7 to the under. So how about that? 18-7 to the under. The over trends with the teams coming off of a game 7 is 25-19 to the over for coming off of a game 7 and going over. These teams actually do really well against the puck line too. 29-17 against the puck line. So, hey, maybe it's the Montreal Canadiens plus a goal and a half. Although I did try that in game number 1 against Buffalo, and it did not work out for me. More on this game coming up tomorrow. We do have, or maybe on Wednesday or Thursday morning, we do have the Vegas Golden Knights taking on the Colorado Avalanche in the Western Conference Finals. That game 1 is not until tomorrow night. Here are your odds to win the Stanley Cup. Avalanche up on FanDuel plus 135, the Hurricanes plus 165, the Golden Knights plus 600, and the Montreal Canadiens plus 650. That'll wrap up our playoff conversation. Now we turn our attention to Major League Baseball and our friend Colby Marchio.
What's up, guys? Happy Tuesday. Colby Marchio here, Colby on Bets, wherever you need to find me. Let's talk a little baseball. Let's talk about this past weekend, because I haven't been able to talk about it with anyone. I'm talking to you. This ain't a one solo show. I'm talking to you, listener. Hey, how you doing? We got to talk about the White Sox, and somebody's probably listening to this going, don't you and Jake do that every Wednesday and Friday whenever you guys record? That is correct, because they're the most exciting team in baseball, coming off their biggest series yet, which was a playoff series for essentially for both the Cubs and the White Sox. That was everything and more. I wish that was the Sunday night game yesterday, but we're not always going to get what we want. Cue up the Rolling Stones. But it's going to be really interesting. The one thing I'm going to be looking forward to, even though the game starts tonight, the recording of this is Monday at 3 Central. I'm going to be very curious to see how not only the White Sox, how they respond after that series, now going to Seattle, how they're going to perform against the Mariners, who they played well on the road this entire season. So will it phase them that they're coming off one of their biggest series yet? Will it not? Will they keep the momentum rolling? Will the Cubs bounce back against the Brewers this week at home? Not really going anywhere. It's not like, but it's not a home game on the South Side anymore. It's going to be really interesting for me because their offense did perform. Everyone performed very well. It was the pitching. We knew the Cubs don't have pitching right now. Pitching's atrocious. Pitching's going to continue to be atrocious. Excuse me, can't talk, even though it's my thing. I do this for a living, sort of. But I'm more interested in the White Sox because I have futures on them. I talk about Will Venable to win AL Manager of the Year. Don't know the current price, but I still think if it's above 10-1 right now, you should be sprinting to bet that. Don't go looking for unless them to make the postseason or them to win the AL Central is a better price. Shop around with those props. Look around for the best price because they all correlate, in my opinion. That's why I took Will Venable preseason to win this award. I'm like, I already have the White Sox to go over 66.5 wins. Why would I ladder this to 70? Why would I ladder them to make the playoffs? Why would I ladder them to win the AL Central when they do any of those other things? Will's taking it home. People forget, 2 years removed from the worst record of all time. The worst to ever do it was 2 years ago. We're 2 years removed, and the culture has completely shifted, and you got to give credit to Will Venable. So that's the number one thing I'm looking forward to this week is keeping an eye on those teams. Maybe it's my Chicago bias, but I don't have bias. Yankee fan. People forget. People keep forgetting New York Yankee fan. You're like, oh, you're a fraud. You're not a real fan. Oh, God forbid. I do this every single year, guys. do this every single year. I pick a team. Last year, I liked the Giants first 3 months in the season. 2023, I biggest Ranger fan before anybody got involved. I guess last year preseason I was a Ranger guy too, but that's neither here nor there. We got to talk about some other things too, some other players. Number one, Luis Arraez, this generation's Tony Gwynn. Argue with a wall if you disagree. He has had a very, very underrated season. If you haven't watched him play, please do yourself a favor. If this will be the one stat that'll get you out of bed to go watch him. He's got a 3.6% K percentage. Does not strike out. He has 7 on the season, 12 walks on the year. He has 56 hits. He's batting .324 with an OPS of 797 with a 125 WRC plus. Number 1 in WAR for second baseman. Oh, Colby doesn't homer. Well, he hit 2 this weekend. He's got 2 more than Fernando Tatis Jr. And the Giants got him for nothing. They got him for nothing. Luis Arraez, power hitter? Him? Better than Fernando Tatis? Some are arguing. Not me. I'm just stating the facts. I just wanted to give him some light because he is awesome. Every time he's up to plate, he's an impossible out. But the best part about him is he doesn't typically get extra base hits. He's a peppering machine. He'll just pepper it right over the second baseman, up in the gap, blah, blah, blah. Anywhere he can find grass. He's impossible. He's always due for a hit, and he's just an unreal watch. I love watching him play. But let's go to Fernando Tatis because you might think I'm dogging him. I'm not. I'm not dogging him. It's just funny that the non-power hitter has no home run. You know who also doesn't have a home run? Chandler Simpson, who's probably due for an inside-the-park home run. Tatis, this is the most interesting stat, rather more than those Luis Arraez stats. Fernando Tatis' average velo of his top 50 hardest hit balls this season, the average mile per hour is 104.6. Well, how fast is that? Kyle Schwarber's, who has 20 plus homers, 104.3. It's insane. It's insane. But the problem with Tatis is he's hitting the crap out of the ball into the dirt inside the park. He can't elevate the ball right now. And I think he's due for some nukes. I don't know what the problem is. I really don't. But everything else with him, it has been down over the last couple of years. You know, we know what happened a couple of years ago. Is it because of that? You never know. But he is still one of the most electrifying players in baseball, and I think it'll turn around. It's May 18th at 3 Central right now, guys. I think he's going to be okay. But as of right now, Luis Arraez, better power hitter. For those wondering what are my leans for Tuesday's slate, I don't have any at the moment right now, but this is just an easy plug for me to say, give me a follow over at X/Twitter at Colby and Betts. I will have plays. There will be plays. There will be another day. Everything will be there if you need to find it. But as of right now, nothing is really grabbing me. I want to watch the White Sox and the Cubs, see how they perform Monday night. And I'll have the rest Tuesday morning. So yeah, Colby and Betts on X/Twitter. Everywhere else, give me a follow.
Thanks, Colby. And you guys can check out some of Colby's picks up on betterday.com. And by becoming a Better Day Insider or Premium member, you also have access to our MLB Game Center with prop projections, weather analysis, game projections. It's all there for you on the MLB tab up on betterday.com. We get questions so many times. What goes in to your projections? How do you figure out like what the player prop is going to do? Well, I use a specific proprietary formula, and Better Day Insider members are privy to that formula. We had a conversation about it on our group chat yesterday, but a lot of it is StatCast based, using a lot of advanced metrics. We want to know how guys are making contact. We want to know what their, chase rate, whiff rate, barrel rate, all those things. And of course, you compare that stuff to the park factors, the weather adjustments. We have a different formula for where a person's batting in the lineup. We have formulas for the opposing pitchers, for the recent success of the opposing pitchers. And yes, up on betterday.com, up on our MLB Game Center, we do provide the hit rates for the prop players. So you will see the prop bets. Let's say it's Aaron Judge over 1.5 total bases. Okay, well, you'll see next to his name 7-3 or 7 out of 10 last 10, like whatever it is. Like, we tell you what the hit rates are, but that most of the time is not what I'm looking for. In fact, I'm actually looking for the opposite, because I'm so confident in our projections up on betterday.com and the way that we have formulated this model to conclude our projections. I actually look for players that aren't hitting. Because you have to understand, the sportsbooks make these numbers based off of the hit rates. They know the information. If a guy's gone over in 5 straight games, guess what? His line's going to be juiced for game number 6. Like, they know that. So I'm looking for guys that their underlying metrics say that they are due for positive regression. Like, they're due to come through. Because as we always say, a player will play to the back of his baseball cards. So if my advanced numbers tell me that a player is getting a little bit unlucky, that they should come through, but they haven't done so in the past couple of games, I'm actually more inclined to bet on that player than go with the guy that's hit that mark in 7 of the last 10 games, etc. And that's just the way I look. I'm looking for buy low spots here in our player projections. But it's all available for you up on betterday.com, as well as pitcher versus batter history. You can click on a game, any game you want on our MLB Game Center. Click on the projected box score, and you'll see exactly how each hitter in that lineup has done against that opposing starting pitcher in their career. So lots of great information available for you up on betterday.com. Just click on the link on our homepage to learn how you can become a Better Day Insider today. For Colby Marchio, I'm Scott Seidenberg. Here's hoping you make today and every day a better day.
Hey, sweetie, your mother showed me this Carvana thing for selling the car. I'm going to give it a try. Wish me luck. Me again. I put in the license plate. It gave me an offer. Unbelievable. Okay, I accepted the offer. They're picking it up Tuesday from the driveway. I haven't even left my chair. It's done. The car's gone. I'm holding a check. Anyway, Carvana, give it a whirl. Love ya.
So good, you'll want to leave a voicemail about it. Sell your car today on Carvana. Pickup fees may apply.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.